What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out the official OCG April 1st, 2018 ban list. It actually just dropped, and I am very excited to know what the hell is actually going on. There will be a lot of people who say, Cap G, why is it that important? Obviously, you know that the TCG and the OCG ban lists are different, and our metas are different, and that is absolutely correct, but I still think that it's very important to keep up with the OCG ban list, despite the fact that our metas are drastically different. I think probably like the biggest example of our metas being different is something like True Draco. It's like a top 3 deck in the TCG, and it's like borderline well, no, I'm gonna just say it is unplayable in the OCG because they don't have Masterpiece and they don't have Diagram. But even with that said, it's still important to keep up with the OCG ban list because it can actually tell us about trends that might happen in the future for our future ban list, and also it could give us a little bit of clues as to what's potentially going to get hit. This is especially important if you're talking about newer cards and newer archetypes that have not been released in the TCG. You guys know that they're obviously a set ahead of us in the OCG, so if they end up hitting anything from like Flames of Destruction, that's something that you probably might want to know about, like, oh snap, this card might end up getting hit. Same thing goes with like Dark Sabers. If something from that ended up getting like hit really quickly, you'd want to know about that before you end up dumping a ton of money into some of these future sets. And also there's always like the potential of card erratas. You know, card erratas generally do translate to the TCG eventually, except I guess in the case of like Chaos Emperor Dragon. So for the most part, even though the OCG and the TCG have like vastly different metas and different ban lists, I always think that it's important to kind of keep up with the OCG when it comes to the ban list, because I want to know what's coming back and what might get hit and what, you know, archetypes are definitely on the hot seat, etc., etc. I've looked at 2 cards on this list, and considering YGO organization has Construct here, I'm gonna say it would be too cruel if they were just trolling and they put the picture of Construct here, but she is not in fact unbanned. The thing is though, and what I'm wondering is, does she have an errata, man? Because I feel like Konami would do that. Like maybe they're too afraid of Construct. Like for some reason they're like still afraid of Shadows, but I think that that would be a mistake. Errata in Construct, like that would be really just, that would be like a nail in the coffin for Shadows to make them just like forever power creep. So hopefully Shadow Construct is in fact back, and Konami or YG organization is not trolling, and hopefully she did not get errated. So let's go ahead and break this thing down piece by piece. I don't know if this is a big ban list or if this is a little ban list. I mean, I would imagine something like, I know that Plants got hit, but I'm wondering how badly Plants got hit. So let's go ahead and look. All right, so for the limit cards, all right, we got Gofu, the Vague Shadow. So this one was kind of expected. This is actually one that they took straight from the TCG. So this is cool because it's the TCG kind of influencing Konami in the OCG. Look, the problem with a lot of these old Blackwing cards, and Vague Shadow is, you know, Gofu's clearly one of them, is the fact that they were designed with synchroing in mind, and now, you know, they're being used like for just ridiculous link summon plays. And you guys know that tokens go a lot further when it comes to like link summoning than they do for synchro summoning. So you look at cards like Gofu that put 3 monsters on the field instantly. For synchro summoning, it's okay, but for link summoning, like, that's pretty damn amazing. Same thing goes with Scapegoat, which actually is not banned. Maybe it's limited to 1, but I think in general, like, Konami has just recognized, like, look, all of these damn token cards, we gotta start getting them out the game, because tokens go way too far in the context of like link summoning, when all of these token cards outside of Scapegoat were like, a lot of them were intended for synchro summoning, you know what I mean? Things like Level Eater, which it's not a token card, but it's like a pseudo token and whatnot. We also have Phoenixin Cluster Amaryllis. I'm not going to try to pronounce that card again. I'm pretty sure I butchered it. It's the plant that is kind of like prominent with the plant FTK deck. Like, that's obvious. Konami has shown in history multiple times that when an when an FTK deck pops up, Konami is usually very, very aggressive about it. So don't be surprised because of this history if Konami ends up hitting some of the FTK decks like in the TCG. And it's really interesting that Konami decided to go after this like really obscure card rather than go after any of the Link monsters, which they have done like pretty consistently differently. You guys know with like the Tyrant Neptune, they banned that instead of hitting Independent Nightingale because they want to sell Independent Nightingale. They hit Grand Soil instead of hitting Firewall Dragon because they want to sell Firewall Dragons. And now they're hitting this monster instead of hitting the Amorphage Link monster, which I don't think that card is broken. I actually think that Lonefire Blossom should get banned, but I mean, I guess that's just me. I still believe by the end of the year, Lonefire Blossom will like 100% be banned, but I could be wrong. That's my prediction. I think that Lonefire Blossom will find its way to the ban zone by the end of the year. It'll be in the ban camp video. Well, Yugi Mation's not making those anymore, but you guys get what I'm saying. All right, so for limits, oh my goodness, they got a whole, but oh my, what? Holy moly, okay. So Destiny Hero Disc Commander, I believe 100% has an errata. I'll talk about that in a different video. Let's see, Double Iris Magician. That's another one where they're basically copy pasting from the TCG. They did not ban it though. I feel like the card is like ban worthy, man. They're too easy to search. Magicians are too easy to search, and they should have made it a hard once per turn. Like, to me, Double Iris's fate was sealed. The second they decided not to make that card a hard once per turn, basically like sealed its fate, because Space Pendulum Graph and Time Pendulum Graph are like too good of cards for you to be able to just search them like 3-4 times in a turn. You probably won't do that, but you search enough to where you get your board set up and you make way too much advantage. So I think that one was warranted. Oh, Supreme King Darkworm, holy moly, that is really big for pendulums. Whoa, that is something I did not expect, but you got a lot of people right now who are playing Foolish Burial just for this card. They're playing Dragon Shrine, which I believe was limited at one point in the OCG just for this card. And I mean, honestly, the fact that it summons itself from the graveyard and then gets you another monster, it's kind of OP. I played in, there's one deck, it might even be my Element Sabers, where I play Dragon's Ravine and a whole bunch of like field spells, and the only monsters I play for Ravine are Darkworm and what is it, Destrudo. Yeah, and it's like just those two cards are good enough. It's worth it running Dragon's Ravine with just those two cards. So yeah, Darkworm, I honestly think that is a pretty fair limit to the card. Grinder Golem, get the fuck out. Like, get rid of that card. I hate it. It triggers me. Lonefire Blossom. All right, I feel pretty good about this. I know you guys see all the cards on screen, but I'm not looking at all of them at the same time. Lonefire Blossom. All right, I feel even more confident about my prediction. I'm calling it now, guys. Lonefire Blossom, there's no way this card is going to make it through the year unbanned. You cannot have a card like, yeah, back in Phantom Darkness, when plants were like trash, it didn't really matter, but then they got really good during 5Ds. You cannot have a card summon an entire type off of a normal summon. Lonefire Blossom, and then you've got the new ritual, the new ritual support coming out, and Cybernetic Horizon Devi rituals, where you can actually special summon one of the plant monsters from the deck and it'll get its effect and it'll summon the other one. You can't. Lonefire Blossom is just too good, because every time Konami develops a plant card, they always have to think, oh, is this card too broken because Lonefire Blossom's in the game? So like, why not just get rid of Lonefire Blossom and then you can kind of develop plants however you want? Like, they always have to worry about making plants too powerful just because of Lonefire Blossom. So I think the card will end up getting limited. Predaplant Ortho Scorpio, I'm glad. That's another card that I've always felt like, yo, that card needs to actually be hit. Okay, maybe you can argue that they could have hit Brilliant Fusion, but I'm sorry. If you're going to keep Brilliant Fusion in the game, then you have to hit Ortho Scorpio. It's too easy for people to get to. So someone had to fall on the sword here. If it's not going to be Brilliant Fusion, it has to be Ortho Scorpio. I agree with that card going to 1. I'm actually getting a little sick people in those janky 60 card decks just splashing in like, oh, I'm gonna play 3 Ortho Scorpio and 1 copy of Darling Cobra. If I draw it, I guess it's Garnet. Like, I don't really like that type of deck building. I feel like it's just, you're taking away what the card was actually intended to do, and it was intended to be part of Predaplants, and obviously it's getting exploited like hell in a whole bunch of different decks. So yeah, I'm fine with Ortho Scorpio going to 1. All right, let's see what else we have. El Shaddai Winda and El Shaddai Construct. I gotta see if Construct was actually errated or not. That would be a shame if she was errated. I talked about that earlier. Why is Winda limited? What? Konami, you trolling. This has been a really good ban list so far. They just like, they trolling now. They limited Winda a long time ago, and I think 2015. Yo, Winda is like not that OP, bro. So I don't know what they're doing. Spellbook of Knowledge, Nah, I'm not really with that. I understand with like Invoked and a whole bunch of decks just like mixing in the knowledge engine as like a draw one. I guess Konami is kind of annoyed by that. Invoked Merkaba, what are they? Is Alistar at 2 in the OCG or is it at 1? Because I know at one point Alistar was at 1. Dude, Konami in the OCG really does not like Invoked. I think that is crazy that you basically only get to summon one Merkaba now, and that's basically it. So I mean, can we just say rest in peace to Invoked, because Merkaba is by far the best like fusion in the archetype. So I mean, now you got to play shit like Raijin, and that doesn't work all that well when you're playing like Mech Knights. You got to rely on your hand traps like Ash Blossom and stuff to summon the other ones. Okay, so they did a lot when it comes to the limited list. Obviously, they killed they cleaned up a little bit of link spam with like with Grinder Golem and probably Lone Fire Blossom. Same thing with Ortho Scorpio, and it looks like I really want to know if Construct got errated, because they're going after like Shadows, which I don't really understand that. I can kind of understand it. Buffing Shadows means you got to hit them at the same time. Let's go to semi limits. Oh my goodness, Ash Blossom got hit. Ash Blossom got hit. Holy moly, Ash Blossom got semi-limited. Dude, Maxi is at 3 and Ash Blossom is at 2. My mind is blown. Holy moly. Maybe this will make the Ash Blossom go down in price. I still haven't bought my Ash Blossom, so yeah, very interesting. Alistar is at 2 now. Okay, that kind of makes sense, because Alistar was at 1, I believe, so that's why they're hitting Merkaba, so that I think what they want you to do, they're forcing you to go into the other fusions. True Draco Heritage, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what that card was at. Like, I'm just keeping it 100. I don't know if that card was at like 1 or what. I thought the only limited one was like True King's Return. I know that no, Dynamite is, I think, banned in the OCG, but I don't know. I mean, they don't have Masterpiece, so like, who the fuck cares? If you're not gonna have Masterpiece at 3 or Dynamite Knuckle at 3, then it's not a real deck to me. So like, whatever. And then Solemn Judgment. Oh my god, it's really crazy how kind of like liberal Konami is in the OCG with like the Solemn cards, where they have 2 warnings and now they have 2 Judgment, and we just got Judgment back to 1. Let me check the video length time. I'm trying to make sure this isn't like, you know, a 30-minute video or something like that. I gotta make sure whenever I kind of lose track of time. These are interesting semi-limits. It really looks like they want people to change the way that they're playing Invoked, not just focus on one card. And then for Unlimits, they looks like they did a decent amount. Tribe Infecting Virus is now unlimited. We still don't even have that. That card is so terrible. Every time somebody tells me like it's too OP cap, like I want to just smack them. Tribe Infecting Virus could have came back to the game probably about the early 5Ds days, and it would not have seen play. But what about Mermail? It's no one's gonna play it in Mermail. You're not gonna normal summon this over Diva or Nephthybis. Like, those are way better cards. Yeah, Tribe Infecting Virus is a bad card. Summoner Monk, didn't even know what it was at. Same thing with Spellbook of Secrets and Reborn Tengu. Pot of Avarice and Pantheism are both at 3 in the OCG, and they're not even legal. Pantheism is at 1 in the TCG. And Pot of Avarice is at 0 still. I would kind of like to see 1 Pot of Avarice. I don't know if I'd like to see 3, especially with them having grass at 3 over there. I think that that's a little stupid, but whatever. And then Monster Gate is now unlimited as well. This is a crazy list. I like their bans a lot. I'm looking at Ash Blossom getting hit, Merkaba getting hit, and I'm like, whoa, they are going ham. And then some of the other ones that I like Dark Worm going to 1. I like Ortho Scorpio going to 1. I don't like Ortho Scorpio being splashed into every stupid 60 card deck ever. Maybe it's just because I don't like those decks, but I don't like these cards being splashed into like these random decks where they're not supposed to be played in. So this is a very crazy list, guys, and honestly, I could see some of these things transferring over. I still do need to check. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna go to their homepage to see mainly if Construct was errated. Okay, so yeah, Construct I guess was not errated. Only Disc Commander was errated. I'll talk about that in another video. But I could see the Dark Worm thing coming to the TCG. I could see I don't know how Konami and TCG feels about Construct. It's like they fucking hate that card. I wonder about Ash Blossom now, dude. Could this be another situation? You guys know historically that if we run 3 of a card forever, Konami eventually hits that card saying run other fucking cards. They did it with Bottomless Chapel. That's the reason the card went to 1 to begin with. And I guess you can kind of say they did it with Maxi, but Bottomless and Book of Moon were like perfect examples of cards that got hit because people would not stop playing them at 3. So you guys let me know what you think of this list. I think it is incredibly spicy, and leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Turn on that notification bell for daily videos.